at a time to see it fall. I believe in the power of one person working as a team with other Christian patriots can have massive impact in reversing this ungodly culture. I believe that we have an omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent God that has put his hand on this moment in time to deny the timeline of the enemy and is about to heal our land. This is Rick, your host, and I believe that God has called me to empower Christian patriots with truth. Join us now for the Blessed Teaching. Let's see what God is doing today.
Go live on Rumble. I see it playing.
We'll change the world. We know how.
Transform your health with the power of light. Introducing the future of natural healing. Are you seeking a natural, effective way to enhance your well-being, reduce pain, and accelerate healing? If you're looking for quick fixes or ignoring the importance of natural health solutions, this might not be for you. Backed by years of research and testimonials from health professionals, our quantum energy infrared light harnesses the scientifically proven benefits of red and infrared light therapy. Designed for those who value holistic health practices, our device offers a non-invasive, drug-free method to support your body's natural healing processes. Visit QEstrong.com now to discover how quantum energy can revolutionize your health routine. Experience deeper sleep, enhanced muscle recovery, reduced inflammation, and improved skin health, all with just a few minutes of use each day. Don't miss out on the healing power of quantum energy. Visit QEstrong.com and learn more to take the first step toward the healthier you. Join the thousands who have already discovered the life-changing benefits of quantum energy. It's time to prioritize your health and well-being. Unlock the healing power of light. To get your quantum energy infrared light today, your journey to optimal health begins with a single click.
Welcome, it's Rick B2T here. We're going to be empowering Christian patriots with truth the next few hours. We're going to be digging into Mike Lindell and what's going on with the whole stolen elections. And that is going to be fun because he called their bluff. And Dominion's panicking, and so are all the rhinos and those in the deep state that are not wanting us to understand what Venezuela is really about. And so this is a tipping point, though, for America, guys. We really have to be supported. Our president right now, he's at another low for the last Rasmussen poll. So the deep state apparatus, the fact that we have all these the woke right attacking Trump, and everybody and all the rhinos now attacking Trump for going into Venezuela. We need to be praying for him. His popularity is at a low again, as the Mockingbird media has always talking bad about him. Now they're getting some traction and saying he's taking us into a war. He's taking us into a war. Well, you want to understand what it's all about. You understand what he's doing, and so again, this is a time for the prayer warriors to be using their authority in Christ to be able to take them down. We're going to be talking about that, how he called the bluff, how they're panicking. Things are going well if you are an awake patriot, right? If you actually understand the cue drops, you understand this war, you understand the spiritual war we're in. Things are going great. But the Mockingbird media has our population completely fooled again, and the woke right is pulling a bunch of people away as well. So again, use your authority in Christ, and we'll win this battle. And I did want to talk to you guys just about if you're doing some Christmas shopping, though, I got a great idea for you, and that's this red light therapy. It comes in a really cool case, has QE Strong on it, pulled open, you got multiple things in there, and that red light therapy is 3 different frequencies, including infrared at the deep tissue layer, and then the two red lights at the skin layer and in your early tissue layer. So it works extremely well. I'm excited about this. And guys, I have multiple of these. Sometimes it's good to have multiple because sometimes you misplace one. But it makes great Christmas gifts too for yourself. So give a couple of these to yourself. And if you do 4 of these, the price comes way down. It's $117 if you do one, which is a great gift anyway. It comes with some pain patches as well as a guide on all about the red light therapy and why it's working. But again, if you get 4 of them and it goes down to $74, but all of these costs go down 25%. So you get it like for $90 for if you buy one, and all the way down to $55 per device if you buy 4, right? So get yourself a couple Christmas presents. You're gonna love it. Go to QEstrong.com. There's a link down below to the exact page where the red light therapy is. A link in this video, or you can just go to QEstrong.com. Use the B2T code for the 25% off. That's the most we've ever done. It's usually 15%. It's now 25% off. All right, let's dig in to all the breaking news that we have, because we do have a lot. And what I wanted to get into was Kash Patel. Start out with Kash. He says, anonymous sources lie, but results don't. I thought that was great. Let's listen to him talk about it.
Yeah, look, anonymous sources always lie, results don't. I'll get to the results in a second. These anonymous sources were individuals from the Comey Ray era that weaponized the Department of Justice and cratered the public trust in the FBI to something that was at levels that has never been seen. 35% public trust in the FBI when we came in 10 months ago. And now we're to believe that these anonymous sources are the ones accusing this FBI, the most successful in history, of being rudderless. Let's just look at the results. If we were so rudderless and we sent our mission out into the country and around the world, how would we have arrested 25,000 violent felons this year alone? That's twice as many as last year alone. How would we have arrested 35% more spies from Russia, China, and Iran than last year alone? How would we have found 6,000 children and identified them? That's up 22% from last year alone. We have taken down criminal networks and those that wish to do harm to our children. We have arrested in the 764 category, the nihilist violence extremist network, a 590% increase on those who wish to prey on our children. Those are just some examples, and I haven't even gotten to the monumental success on fentanyl, where we shut off precursors from China and have seized enough fentanyl, 22% increase this year alone, enough to kill 127 million Americans. We're crushing violent crime. We're defending the homeland. When Dan and I got here, it was a rudderless ship. But we re-executed this mission.
No question.
We defanged the weaponization that corrupted it. We jettisoned those like these anonymous sources in this reporting, and all they have to talk about is anonymous sources and jackets and leather patches. They can have that all day long. The mission of this FBI is to serve the American people, and we are doing it at a level that has never been done before because of the leadership we have here, and thanks to President Trump's sweeping victory that demanded this place be rid of weaponization and put it back on a course to prosecuting criminals, investigating criminals, and putting away terrorists. And that's what we are doing every single day here.
Yes, isn't that well said? I love it. I love it when there's a lot of people just saying, "Oh, nobody's been arrested yet." Guys, this is big stuff going on. Okay, and we got to take down the whole criminal cabal, right? This is a 200-year-old deal. You hear that a lot, and people saying, "No, but I want arrest now, and you want your pound of meat." I understand that, but again, getting us cleaned up with all these terrorist cells all over our United States is a big part of what we have to do before we make a ton of arrests. Don't you see how that makes sense? Otherwise, we'd have complete chaos in the streets and have a civil war in our hands, right? Breaking: Trump endorsed a candidate, Matt Van Epps, has won the special election in Tennessee's 7th congressional district. This is a great news here. This shows you President Trump's endorsement as well. They were really pushing hard. They had an AOC type candidate in there that was really closing the gap, and so again, that just we were replacing a Republican, so it didn't give us any more, but at least we didn't lose a seat, right? He defeated the AOC style candidate whose political career is now as good as dirt. Congratulations, Congressman-elect Van Epps. So again, big win for us, and we need to always continue to celebrate those type of things. SG Anon's on tomorrow night. Don't miss it. So we haven't had him on for a while, and a lot has happened since. We're going to get his take on this Venezuelan conflict and how that really traces back to Serbia and Iran and China, and how it goes even into all the Western Hemisphere, and how that is a hub for not only just drug trafficking, but it's really a hub for our enemies, China, Russia, here on the Western Hemisphere. So this is extremely critical. And hey guys, we put a bunch of stuff on Faith and Freedom TV. A new exclusives going up tonight. My several 107 latest videos coming up. Again, all this in one spot. Biohacking TV. All these different doctors talking about health. The Red Pill channel and the 24/7 Growing Your Faith channel. All available here. Bunch of live events going on. The Resistance Chicks are going live every night on this platform now. And just thousands of videos all in one place. Make sure you go to faithandfreedom.tv and download the apps from there. Faithandfreedom.tv. Remember that faith with the letter N in between faith and freedom. All right, they lied. Here you are. Breaking Dominion just went on the attack. This is the main story. This is, guys, we're going to be on this for a while because this to me is history breaking. It is the most exciting time in my 8 years of doing this to see finally the selection machines being outed and exactly how they did it. Emerald Robertson is doing this on Lindell TV. Here's Lindell TV talking about this. There it is, Lindell TV. Breaking Dominion just went on the attack. They promised to drop the lawsuits against real Mike Lindell, right, buy pillow guy. They lied. Dominion told Mike they won't drop the case unless he stays silent about voting machines forever. That's not happening because if we don't fix the machines, we lose our country. Now, because Mike refuses to back down, we have to hire new legal counsel now. Dominion is trying to silence the truth, help save it by fixing it. So he's got this give, send, go account here. He's talking about it. I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about this. The thing that's interesting about this is he called their bluff. And you'll see soon that Dominion is trying to change their name. They're trying to destroy the evidence because now they didn't really want to go into detailed discovery after the appeals with Mike Lindell. But let's listen.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you all for helping raise the funds in time for the appeal with Smartmatic. You can get those details at mypillowtrial.com. But now I got more breaking news. Dominion, now called Liberty Vote, just said straight out that they were going to drop the lawsuits against MyPillow and myself. But they lied. What a surprise. They told me this week that they're not going to drop the lawsuits unless I do a walkaway and never talk about voting machines again. Well, of course I'm not gonna. Voting machines gotta go or we lose our country. Well, because I refused to settle this week with Dominion, now called Liberty Vote, they instantly went on the attack, and now I have just 3 weeks to hire new lawyers. So please, if you can, help out. Go to mypillowtrial.com or call 800-648-8986. Thank you all, and God bless. Hello, everyone.
All right,
I want to thank you all for helping raise.
That is big news for just the fact that they're panicking, right? He calls their bluff, saying, and they just say, "Hey, we're going to settle. We're going to drop the lawsuits." And then they come back and say, "No, but you have to say you'll never talk about this again," right? That's a panic from Dominion, right? It's already got a Smartmatic suit. So there's 3 type of entities that are suing all these patriots, right? And so you've got Dominion, Smartmatic, as well as Eric Coomer himself, who used to work. So he's doing defamation charges against Clay Clark. He's doing it against Joe Altman, doing it against Mike Lindell. And then you got Dominion and Smartmatic also. They're all 3 suing all these people, right? So you can imagine the legal fees for just one major lawsuit where they're claiming billions of dollars, et cetera. But now we're talking about 3 different entities, all funded by the cabal, obviously, trying to break every one of these guys. And these are just incredible patriots. You're talking about Clay Clark, Mike Lindell, Joe Altman, as just 3 of the examples. Sidney Powell, they go on and on and on and on. And this is something we can't let them win. So if you do have the means, help Mike Lindell out. And but this is the whole part of a bigger story we've been talking about with Emerald Robinson being behind the scenes and interviewing all the whistleblowers from Venezuela to showed us by using Tina Peters information. This is what's so cool about this. If you really look at it, you're talking about. I'm going to kind of move this up a little bit. See if that works. Boop, boop, boop. This is kind of a cool. Oh, now it's a different machine. I see. Anyway, that what you have here is Emerald Robertson behind the scenes interviewing all these people, that General Flynn and Patrick Byrne and Bernstein, the ex-CIA guy that are the white hats basically. Saved the election, and I wrote a whole blog about this on faithandfreedom.org. But now what's happening is the deep state's panicking, and they're actually having their rhinos actually go fight against Trump about stay away from Venezuela. And it's sad to see how many Republicans are telling Trump to do this, and not to mention the woke right doing the same thing. No, go. Israel's all the problem. Israel derangement syndrome. This woke right has, and so anything to do with China, Russia, anything to do with massive cartels and drug trafficking into and human trafficking into, or using, they really are the mother bear of all the other cartels that are in Mexico, right? They control them all. And so this is vital. This whole Venezuela thing is vital. And they do not want you to know that they've stolen the election, not only in the United States for 20 plus years, not to mention 71 other countries. Just think about that. This is the biggest takedown in the history of the world. If you look at it, this is 100x what Watergate was, when you actually are flipping votes to control elections, and they're selection machines. They are selection machines, not election machines. We've got to get rid of them completely. Mike Lindell's been completely right about that from the beginning. Here is again, that's Emerald Robertson right there with Patrick Byrne. You can say people in the Venezuela payroll are still inside the U.S. government. So basically, we have rhinos and others that are on the payroll of this. Let me flip back to this screen. You guys can see what I'm showing you guys. And again, you'll have all this on the show notes with details. In jaw-dropping new interview, Patrick Byrne says U.S. officials were bribed by Venezuelan government, and some still are in power. So let's listen to this part.
On Venezuela, want to glide over something you touched on a moment ago, and that was that there are people in U.S. custody, well, one at least in U.S. custody, and other people within the United States who were in the room when the Venezuelan government officials bribed, or were told, or were the plans were made to bribe U.S. assets, officials, people in the U.S. government, because that is the part of this that we haven't really touched on. Talked about the drug trafficking, the money laundering, the Tren de Aragua, election officials, but this is a key component of the attack that Venezuela and Cuba has levied on the United States, unbeknownst to most Americans, is the counterintelligence part of this, and flipping many corrupt Americans. Now, are those people, those kind of people, actively blocking Trump's action on Venezuela, on the voting machines, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, there were a number that we did not know about until more recently, and they absolutely were derailing. There's something going to be published, we hope, inshallah, in the next day or so that reveals a whole lot of these kinds of matters. Yeah, there were people blocking him. There are people, I've been sworn, I've said, do not let these names leave your lips, Byrne, until you see certain people arrested. So I'm not going to say the names, but there are people of such seniority who have secretly been on the payroll. And when I say, like, we've got the proof, we have a guy who says, on such and such a day, I woke up, Hugo Chavez said, come on, we're flying to Havana. We flew to Havana. We meet with Fidel Castro. We're sitting by the pool. Fidel Castro says, I want you to make these payments, and this is the most important guy. He gets 20 million and this and that. And so Hugo turned to me and said, make sure those payments get done tomorrow. So when we flew home the next day, I made sure they were done. And by the way, here's my diaries where it's all recorded from that.
This is the type of evidence, guys, that we haven't had before, right? This is literal whistleblowers. There's like 12 of them from Venezuela, and there's 3 of what they call the musketeers that understand the detail engineering of the virtual machine, the ghost virtual machine that would switch the votes in the machines, okay? From Serbia, that's where they moved all the major servers. And this is amazing. And again, China controls Serbia. So this is China. He just talked about Castro in Cuba. And so that them trying to have the Western Hemisphere and our enemies right hundreds of miles from our shores. This is critical stuff. This comes back down to JFK's Cuban Missile Crisis type thing. This is Venezuela is not too far to the south, right there, right in our hemisphere. So this is, to me, the crime of the century that's being revealed here. It's not just the Russia thing. This is the selection machines that allowed them to do everything else to us. That's how they could do the drug trafficking and the gun trafficking and the human trafficking, right? That all is because of the selection machines. And then you do it to 71 other countries. You basically put your cabal leaders that are bribed and or absolutely in control across almost the entire world. This is where the Lord has stepped in 2016 and 2024 and given Trump a anointing to work with us as the digital soldiers to amplify this and get our country to support Trump and call out these people on the woke right and the rhinos and obviously the Democrats. This is our time. This is our time to do just that. Let's continue on this because this is a great reveal.
Day. It's really tough to argue with that kind of testimony. And so we know all kinds of people who are paid off, and I've been promised I will not let the names leave my lips, but it's unbelievable. And yes, there was active interference. There were still people involved, not only delaying Trump and his greater things, but even what's been going on regarding Venezuela. Some traitors have been exposed, some people who were secretly actually in cahoots with Venezuela.
So let's talk about
We're
that.
so
Is one such person, can we talk about one such person? Because I have included this name in my thread and I've been allowed to talk about that. And that is Rick Grenell, who has been a special envoy during this second term. According to my sources, Rick Grenell has recently arranged a meeting at Mar-a-Lago with the Batista brothers. These are gentlemen who own a company called JBS in Brazil. And they say that they're the majority, but the majority owners of that company are actually cartel. Now, this is according to my sources. Okay, I'm just going to say that they're alleging this. They also say that Grenell is heavily involved in Serbia, that he was on the contact list of Yorktown Solutions, a lobbying firm which lists Serbia's Chamber of Commerce as its client. Now, remember, Serbia is where Dominion had the office. Also, Grenell had part of this in flipping.
Oops.
And I've been promised I will. So I want you to make
come back to this.
Who have secretly been on the payroll.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get to that spot, but she really brought some other receipts there, right? And this is Rick Grenell, right? I think he's the gay guy on Trump's area that has seemed to be just a great. But now that he's linked to Serbia, going down to Brazil, doing some really funky things, this is scary, and this is something that, again, I just love this reporting, and it's sad that Patrick Byrne can't say the names, right? So but we can see the ones that are trying to fight against Trump on Venezuela are likely the ones that are the rhinos trying to stop him. And so she's even calling out other. I'm going to wait till later in the show for some of that. There's people that we thought were on our side that are not. And part of this is going to be coming out because of this greatest fraud in history, the selection machines in 72 countries, switching votes and putting in cabal members across 72 countries for 20 years. Pretty crazy. Let's continue.
They also say that Grinnell is heavily involved in Serbia, that he was on the contact list of Yorktown Solutions, a lobbying firm which lists Serbia's Chamber of Commerce as its client. Now, remember, Serbia is where Dominion had the office. Also, Grinnell had actively went to Venezuela and took some action that the president did not sanction and got upset about. So is Rick Grinnell one of these people of whom you speak?
Rick Grinnell was, I'll confirm, absolutely not named by these Venezuelans as having received any bribe. I should be clear about that. Secondly,
Yes, let's be clear on that.
I've conversed with Rick Grinnell in the past. He called me once, wanted some money, and but he was a fine guy. I mean, he was a gentleman. I actually always liked him, and I liked that Trump had an openly gay guy, and I thought that he was actually in the first term one of my guys I liked the most. I thought it was good, and I thought he was competent. Yeah, I've heard something. So I was mucking around in Eastern Europe, as you know, for some of the last 2 years, and I've heard things about Mr. Grinnell that deeply trouble me. And I've heard them from different parts, from both intelligence service in Eastern Europe and.
Guys, in my opinion, this is going to be the way we live the next 6 months. Seeing very good people in Trump's world be outed, right? And so this is one of them right now. We talked about the lawyer number 2 underneath Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, right? Completely being compromised, right? And he's still there. He's still number 2 there. Now we're talking about Rick Grinnell. I think literally every week we're going to get new names that we think were part of Trump's team that are not, that are completely compromised in some way. Now, some of them might be innocently compromised where their family is at risk, but it's still, they're compromised. This is going to be the exciting part of our lives. But we need, again, Trump is at the lowest popularity almost ever right now, based on the Rasmussen poll, right? So this whole woke right attack that Satan's doing with all the Israel derangement syndrome of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Matt Gaetz, but you go on and on and on and on. There's MTG, etc. And then you take also the attack of the Democrats and their Mockingbird media on Venezuela. Now all the rhinos coming against him on Venezuela. This is a tipping point. Trump talked about that yesterday. It's a tipping point. We need to be in prayer for him, in prayer because this is the exciting time. This is when they know they're about ready to be exposed. Suicide weekend could be near us as Epstein files start coming out and as the election fraud and bribery from the Venezuelan mafia come out. This is why it's going to be so intense of a time for us. We need to live by faith and not by sight. But the prayer warriors, I'm calling you all out. Come on, let's all do it. Let's all use. We may be a little weary from all this 7-8 year battle, right? If you've been following me, but hey, this is the time to accelerate our prayers for President Trump and what's going on here.
Mafiosi in Eastern Europe of a different country in Eastern. So people know some things about Rick Grinnell that trouble me deeply. And I've said before, I think he's compromised. And so that's the background on him. But they're not related, setting aside Venezuela. But now you get to the Venezuela question. I will say there are some people around Donald Trump who have worked very, very hard since President Trump came back into office to convince them that, well, let's bury the hatchet with Venezuela, and whatever Venezuela did and didn't do to us, well, maybe we can get over. They'll give us a gold field. They'll let us, maybe you've got a big donor who they'll give an oil field to. Maybe they've been trying that kind of stuff. Well, these people overthrew the United States. It's the worst attack on the United States in history by a long shot.
No question about that. Can we not? We cannot argue about that, right? That's just something that's completely obvious there. So they're actually interfering with Trump right now and his whole administration, right? This is the tipping point that we need to be fighting on. So, and this is why Rasmussen Report starting to report on this a lot. Dominion closed or Dominion legally discovery process closed or both. This is what I'm talking about with Mike Lindell. He called their bluff, right? He says I'm not stopping talking about election fraud. They tried to stop him, saying, hey, Bush, we're going to drop the cases against MyPillow. We're going to drop the cases. Again, Mike's being sued by Smartmatic, Dominion, and Eric Coomer, and as are many other patriots. And their legal bills are out the window. This could reverse everything when all this comes out. And now we see Dominion panicking. So they actually do a non-public sale of the company to a company called Liberty now, and they change their name. And then they think that is the excuse to be able to destroy all the evidence. And that is craziness. But that is exactly what's happening. This is Emerald, which is talking about all what they're doing. It says Dominion closed or Dominion legal discovery process closed or both. So a lot of people are talking about just that. And I love how Rasmussen Report, by the way, follow them too on X, because they are really following Emerald like I am in a close fashion and linking it into some of their information. So it's good to see somebody else. And Benny Johnson starting to report on this now. Now, Benny Johnson, though, it just makes me wonder. He says electronic machines are fine as long as they're not connected to the internet. Guys, these modems are so small, and you can put them anywhere on the motherboard, or you can hardly even see them with the naked eye. They're so small now. They have hidden modems. Okay, all of these are connected to the internet. And it's from all three vendors, like I reported on yesterday. It's Hart, it's Dominion, it's Smartmatic. It doesn't matter, ES&S. Doesn't matter. These all machines that we are using are part of this fraud. And it is incredibly vital that we don't let this go. Here's Emerald Robinson saying, you don't understand why GOP senators suddenly want to investigate Secretary of War Hedges over killing a couple of drug runners because you don't know the Venezuelan cartel pays off corrupt members of the GOP too. That's the major thing I want to get across in this episode is, guys, we are at war with a silent enemy that was now being exposed. And the silent enemy, the woke right's trying to get us off only looking at Israel. And yes, the Mossad's a problem. Yes, the Rothschilds are a problem. But nothing compared to 72 countries for 20 years, the selection machines. And that has nothing to do with Israel. It has all to do with China, Serbia, Iran, Venezuela, and the Mexican cartels. Okay? That's who's doing this. And we need to understand your enemy to beat them. And this is the silent enemy that's pretty much controlled everything. Breaking Biden auto pen pardoned cartel's $350 million Venezuelan money launderer. So this is interesting too. So you get into, it was revealed by Emerald Robertson again. That's why I'm telling you guys, we got a hero on our hands here that you probably don't even know the name if you haven't listened to my show the last 3 days or watched or look at my blogs. By the way, my blogs I'm putting up now are on, you're going to want to look at faithandfreedom.org. Faith with the N in between the letter N as in Nancy is within Faith and Freedom. Faithandfreedom.org. Faithandfreedom.tv is where the web app is, but faithandfreedom.org is where I'm putting all my blogs. And there's 10 of them up there now. And one of them does a really detailed job of showing exactly how they stole our elections, how they used the virtual machines, how exactly we saved the 2024 election. Now, that Maduro was asked by Biden administration to allow mass illegal immigration into the U.S., and that's not all. We now have a report that Biden, or at least his auto pen, pardoned the treasurer of Cartel de Sol, a man who laundered $350 million to the U.S. for a Venezuelan criminal network. And this is all new news again. So Emerald Robinson's breaking stuff from Venezuela right and left. And that this allowed the mass migration waves linked to secret deal, mysterious pardon signed by Autopen, no clarification from the White House, and POTUS trolling Maduro with unconfirmed video about his removal. So she goes over that. Again, this is Emerald here, right over here on the left. Make sure that you're following her because I think you're going to be excited. I'll be giving you guys updates too if you don't have time to follow anybody else. Rubio says Iran and Hezbollah are operating from inside Venezuela. So what was I telling you guys? This is vital that we get the woke right off Israel, right? And we focus on the destruction of our country with the selection machines, right? And Senator Marco Rubio just issued one of the starkest warnings yet, and it changes the entire picture of the Venezuelan crisis. And I'm going to let him talk it. Let's listen to this 22-second clip.
The Venezuelan regime is a source of instability in the entire region. Over 8 million Venezuelans have flooded into neighboring countries as a result of the regime's activities within their own country, including into the United States. They also happen to be the foothold of Iran. That's not spoken about enough. Iran, its IRGC, and even Hezbollah has a presence in South America, and one of their anchor presence, especially for the Iranians, is inside of Venezuela. So the Venezuelan
Yeah, and so that's this is vital, guys, because if you look at the cartel, the mafia in Venezuela, which is the government of Venezuela, they have a guy that is direct ties to Hezbollah from Iran. So, I mean, remember, Hezbollah is what's funded in the north in Lebanon, right? That they did the pager attack on, but so you have Hezbollah in our hemisphere. And they sent a bunch of them right into our country during this time, right? So this is very, very important. Let that sink in. This says 8 million Venezuelans displaced, spill over to Colombia, Brazil, and the U.S. In fact, I think most of my Uber drivers lately have all been from Venezuela, right? People escaping starvation from their country. Cartels, trafficking networks, and Iranian intelligence embedded in the region. Rubio isn't speaking hypothetically. He's confirming what U.S. intel has known for years. Venezuela is no longer just a failed socialist state. It's a forward operating base for Iran and Hezbollah in the Western Hemisphere. This is why the situation is escalating. This is why Trump's ultimatum matters. This is why Maduro's regime cannot be ignored or managed. This threat isn't local, it's global. Pretty key stuff going on right now, right? Here's a Zero Hedge talking about Trump gave Maduro a last Friday deadline to step down as Venezuelan president. He realized that I was reading elsewhere that he was going to be murdered by this cartel outside of Venezuela. So he's in a real difficult spot. But this goes way bigger than Maduro, right? This is again a Chinese, Iran, even Russia has weapons there. This is our enemies right in our hemisphere. According to Reuters on Monday night, Maduro told Trump he was prepared to leave Venezuela in last week's recently revealed phone call, but Trump rejected nearly all of his additional conditions, including demand that Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, if you do any research and look at Delcy Rodriguez, he is like he's massively evil. He's like the Dr. Evil in some of the movies we've seen, right? And so the fact that he was going to try to say, hey, here's my next cabal guy, it's worse than I am, put him in charge, and that he would lead a transitional government before the new elections, right? So they're obviously going to try to keep their selection machines in and have elections and use their cabal people in between this whole Venezuelan mafia to stay in touch. So this is the phone call that Venezuela President Maduro had with Trump, and he made all these requests. Say, I'll leave if. So he basically didn't hit his deadline. Reuters further reports that Trump gave Maduro a deadline of last Friday to depart the country, after which the American leader announced on Saturday that Venezuela's airspace was closed. So the day afterward, when he said that, so he said, and they're closed for 3 months. Okay, that's it. So that means that's going to kill their economy. Number one. Number two, it's going to hurt their drug trafficking that they have, and now we can track a lot of where they try to reroute everything. But more importantly, this is Trump trying to figure out how is he going to handle the fact that this is the criminal enterprise that has taken over our country. Things are beginning to move faster, and it looks like Trump plans some kind of significant military action against Caracas. And at the moment, such a huge Caribbean deployment, including the USS Ford carrier group, is racking up high bills per day. Now here they are. Here, you can tell this is the cabal trying to to say, oh, look at these, it's taxpayer expenses. Trump rejected Maduro's request for amnesty, sanctions removal, sources say. Maduro's safe passage offer expired, prompting U.S. airspace closure, sources say. Maduro proposed Delcy Rodriguez lead interim of government. No. Maduro's administration seeks another call with Trump. So that is, wrapping up the Venezuelan story update today. And go back to my blog, see exactly how they stole the election in 2020, how exactly we saved the 2024 election, and why we're really have a full armada and massive forces in the Caribbean. And it's because Trump realizes exactly how they stole the 2020 election from him. All right, and how are we going to resolve that? Well, there's going to be an executive order according to 107, right? And by the way, again, more 107 videos are going up on Faith and Freedom TV. The latest videos are always there for you. And he's basically saying that Trump is going to do an EO for paper ballots. That is going to be the key. And there's people fighting him on that. Every time he does a draft EO, all these traders are trying to get him to say, well, okay, we'll do one-day voting, even voter ID, but we need to use the machines, right? Well, they need to use machines because they're fraudulent machines. That's the only reason. Here's a military saying, here's a list of Republicans that were arrested under Biden. Donald Trump. And it just goes on and on and on. Some of these you'll know: Peter Navarro, right? You've Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, Janet Ellis. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. All the people that were arrested underneath it. This doesn't include the hundreds and hundreds of J6ers, right? And so what people want us to do is to weaponize and do the opposite incorrect action that they took. Just start arresting people, right? Even if they didn't do a crime that's well documented. Now we're doing it correctly. Like Kash Patel said earlier in the show, we're going to do it with results, and a lot of what we're going to find are within the criminal referrals, within the actual lawsuits, right? Eventually, this has to go to military tribunals. Juan's been talking about that for quite a while. I've been talking about it for all 7+ years. That is what Q pointed to. Military is the only way that we can really make this happen. But if we can't have Trump at his lowest popularity, and we can't, and so we have to. The whole plan of the ball right now is to get the public against Trump through the woke right, through the rhinos, through the Democrats. So unpopular that we lose the House and seats, right? So we have to clean up these elections before that happens, and we have to clean up the perception of what's going on before that happens. So Trump's going to have to address the people. Somehow this truth has to get out. So thumbs us up, please share it. Be your digital soldier self, guys. We need to let people know exactly what's going on. Here's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, confirming Operation Mockingbird. That's the whole reason I've been doing this for the last 8 years and changed my career. Guys, going from a very good career in consulting to making almost nothing. And just being honest with you, this is what there's many people sacrificing like I have and am. This is why Mockingbird Media. I knew that we had to go fight this, or we're going to lose our country. We're not having anything for my kids and grandkids. So here's Tulsi talking about this.
I think it's the smoking gun, quite frankly, of the Obamagate narrative and the Russiagate narrative, that it was so baked in that the New York Times and Washington Post went and ran with it. Some would say that that's part of Operation Mockingbird. Some would say that that's part of what we learned in the Church Committee, that the intel agencies were using media outlets as their mouthpieces, and that those mouthpieces would parrot the official narrative. And I wanted to ask you, is this operation still going on? Are you aware of the intel agencies working directly with media outlets in order to push prescribed narratives that may or may not be true?
It's something that we've already had to deal with, Benny, within this administration, where there are people within the intelligence community who believe that their will is more important than the will of the American people, and will weaponize intelligence by leaking it to their friends within the mainstream media with the intent of undermining President Trump's agenda. It is not one that he hasn't already talked about in every rally and town hall that he did throughout the campaign. I don't even know how many there were, but President Trump is enacting the very thing he promised the American people he would do in this election. So people in the intelligence community, they may agree, they may disagree. That's not the point here. As intelligence professionals, as people who work in the national security space, in the intelligence community, they are required to fulfill their mandate to their oath to the Constitution of the United States and to the President of the United States, who was duly elected by the American people.
I love how Operation Mockingbird's being outed. Unfortunately, she's focused more on the people that are working with the Mockingbird media than the Mockingbird media itself, right? So I think that's coming, though. I think that's going to be part of military tribunals because of the freedom of press, but it's a captured operation. Our freedom of press is completely captured, right? It's been captured for decades. And so, but anyway, I think she's focused on what she can control. That's what she should do, right? What can you control? What can't you control, right? You go after the press, you're just going to get attacked, and it's just going to hurt Trump's popularity even more. But if you go after all the people that are working with the press, then you can eliminate them from the government, hold them accountable, and hopefully give the Mockingbird media a lot less ammunition to work with.
Those who leak intelligence to their friends in the mainstream media with the intent of undermining the president who was elected by the American people. None of these intelligence professionals were. They are subverting the will of the people and therefore undermining the Constitution.
And I love how Benny goes right back into Mockingbird media to kind of make this point happen. Now, Benny, I'm a little concerned about, guys, because, again, he's talking about we can keep the machines, right? And he's also been relatively critical of us going into Venezuela. So could he be one of the guys working with the compromised rhinos, right? So there's a lot of Benny was one of the guys who didn't get kicked off YouTube when we all got kicked off YouTube for telling the truth, right? So there's a lot of these conservative podcasters and influencers who've got incredibly popular while we were sitting down here with our small little audiences on Rumble. They were exploding on YouTube, okay? And so you got to be very careful about. I think we're going to find that many of these woke right people, such as Tucker Carlson, clearly there's very good evidence now of him getting massive money from people from Qatar or related to Qatar, which funds Muslim Brotherhood. And he's not talking bad about Muslims at all. He's talking about everything's bad about Israel, and he's talking about left, and he's actually just flipped completely on Trump. So I think we're going to see a ton of that. And then I think we have a spiritual dimension to this too. He had a demon on him. Amanda Grace even saw the demon before she just said, pray for Tucker Carlson. And she's now come out to say now that he talked about the demon. And now you see Candace Owens talking just incredibly crazy stuff, blaming everybody but the left and not telling you not to vote, not voting herself, right? So this is a spiritual battle where the enemy's going to attack to try to get us to keep the voting machines. And he's going to try to keep us so that they can actually impeach Trump after getting control of the House and Senate. That is the whole goal that we need to be praying against. So prayer warriors, use your authority in Christ. Let's not let that happen. There's another minute to this that I think is important. Let's listen.
It's wild that you're still having to deal with that. Call it what you will. But Operation Mockingbird, just incredible that they were just out with it, that they were using the media as government organs to push propaganda, and it's still happening today.
This is why what we're doing is so important, Benny,
Yes.
and this is why President Trump's mandate in this is really critical, is by exposing the truth, by exposing the bad actors within the intelligence community and in the political space who are weaponizing intelligence to advance their own political interests is so important. To be able to turn the light on in places that have been dark for far too long, expose the truth, and drive accountability. That's the only way that we can actually shift this and begin the work to try to restore trust in the intelligence community.
Woo! That is amazing, isn't it? Mockingbird Media. That's why I've spent all my time doing this, is to tell the truth versus lies. Guys, sign up for the show notes at blessedteacher.com, and you will be able to get everything I'm showing you. That's what I committed to when I did this, is I'm going to have links for everything I show, including the price of silver. Look at this, $58.46. Guys, this is pretty crazy to think about that. Just think about when I started talking to you about this, it was around 22, I think, or so. And so it's getting close to, 2.5x what it was. And this is just looking at the last year. Look at the last year, what's happened to this. It's just amazing to see what's happening here. I'm going to refresh real quick to make sure I've got the latest and greatest. But you can see that spike here at the end. It's like, wow, where it's gone up to 58. Right. So again, this is what I tell people. People said, "Oh, got crossed 30. I missed it. So I better not buy any." Oh, it crossed 35. I better not buy any. I already missed it. Oh, it crossed 40. I better not buy any. It crossed 45. Oh, I've missed it. No, guys, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the 30-60-100, I believe, once the Babylonian system crashes. So that is going to be, guys, a time that we will be able to be historic for us. I know a lot of people just recently converted some 401ks, and they're going, "Oh, I missed it because I'm buying that 50." It's at 58. and if you just look at what it should be with the money that's been printed and what it should be based on the ratio to gold, this is, to me, the beginning of it's not going to really matter if you bought it 30 or you bought it 60. Because when it goes to the 30-60-100, I think it's quite exciting. So somebody said, "I bought it 47." So this is the time you want to not wait, because it's not going to be going down significantly, right? The whole cabal doing shorts on silver for the military-industrial complex to build all their bombs and have wars all around the world is over. Right, their ability to suppress this is becoming less and less. And when the Babylonian system crashes and we go to a gold standard, that's gonna be amazing. That's why I don't think I put. Yeah, I did. So you just call Kirk. Kirk gives you free advice, a completely free consultation with his team to actually say, "Hey, here's what you can do based upon your situation." If you have any treasures at all that you could get out of cash, get out of bonds, get out of some real estate, get out of stock market, I believe you won't regret it. But make sure you understand how to use silver in a bullion fashion. There's a lot of silver dealers that are completely corrupt, guys. They have back end commissions, which is just absolutely criminal. They also sell you a rare coin for 50-60% margin. This is 8% in the front, 0 in the back, nothing else. You are not going to find that, and it's bullion. It's the cheapest way to store it, and it just makes sense. So just get a free consultation, understand how you can protect your assets and participate. What I believe is part of the wealth transfer. Exclusive poll: only 24% of likely voters know Charlie Kirk's killer was left wing, and this is part of what's crazy. Is you have so much Candace Owens becoming the #1 podcast in the world with all her conspiracies. And when I say conspiracies, they use that against us all the time, right? Conspiracy theory vetted by or at least repackaged by the CIA as anybody that said anything bad about the Warren report for Kennedy. And so I always don't like to really use that conspiracy theory. But she's basically talked about 25 different people that probably were involved in the killing of Charlie. Everybody at TPUSA. So that's Charlie's baby, TPUSA, right? And she attacks it every single day. And so, was he the only killer? Probably not. But the fact is that they don't even know that he was living with a transgender and he was left wing, right? That's how bad the Mockingbird. So Mockingbird Media is still effective, even though it's only talking to a lot less people. They've now really mastered social media. So if you go to any of download the news apps, they're Mockingbird Media controlled. They control AI. If you ask Grok or ChatGPT any questions about politics, you're going to get left-wing answers. So it's really going to be an interesting time. I see people talking on both Rumble and YouTube as well as Backstage. So appreciate it. I can put some of those comments up, and there's a snotty person on YouTube right now. I'll just ignore him. I love it. I love Emmett Spears Jr.'s on here. Yeah, so I love what he's saying here. This is saying, pay attention. It won't cost you nothing if you pay attention, but it will cost you everything if you don't. All right, and here's Gus saying, I bought at 47. It's exciting to see all these people here. And this is talking about double-minded man or woman is unstable in all his or her ways. Yep, we're seeing a lot of that right now. That's why part of double-minded is their doubts about what God's doing here. And he's doing amazing things. So let's take advantage of what he's doing. What a time to be alive. Here's a Pakistani Muslim terrorist busted planning a shoot-up of University of Delaware. Students had protested ICE enforcement against Muslim terrorist supporters. So the question is, why do we have these guys in our country, right? Well, we know why, because Biden let everybody in unvetted. And so we still have a lot of work to do there, and a lot of time we have to take. Here's U.S.-Russia find no compromise on territory after the Ukraine talk. So we had to send people over there. And so this is really interesting. It's kind of tough because we know that the capitulation tour and Trump is probably working with potentially Xi and Putin and taking down this Western cabal. But again, this CCP and parts of Russia are not our friends, and so it's very complex what's going on, especially when they bring Russian weaponry into Venezuela. So a lot of what everybody thinks was this clear black and white hat with between what we learned with Q is it's not. There's a lot of gray areas in there. People playing both sides of this. You've probably heard of the term double spies, right? Putin's playing both sides of this fence. So we got to be really careful of this, and he's not willing to negotiate much, and still is using tons of his weapons to kill a lot of innocent people in Ukraine. It's just too bad that we have so many people in NATO and all the money laundering that's going on, wanting to have wars all the time, right? And so now they're accusing Trump of doing that while he's basically trying to take out our main enemy that's done 72 countries for 20 years in destroying this world, and where Satan almost took over. And the Lord's saying, nope, not going to happen. So here's investigators consider potential Taliban blackmail as motive of shooting of the National Guard troops. So this whole thing about the Afghanistan Taliban was somehow linking to this guy. The bottom line, he was a Muslim extremist. We have Muslim extremists all over this country, and we're going to continue once they get activated. That's why we have to take out as many of these people as we can before we can do massive arrests and go to military tribunals. And it's happening a lot slower than I was hoping, and that's why I'm asking to let's all activate into our authority in Christ. We're going to move to a Bible study after this and have some beautiful music, and we call it Word and Worship. I invite y'all to join me there. It's going to be it's not going to be on YouTube because of the they're just really strict on music. You can't do anything pretty much. And so for music licensing purposes, we're only on Rumble in the Word and Worship channel or on Faith and Freedom TV. Okay, we're going to be going there in about 5 minutes. St. Paul mayor fraud charges show federal agents not adding value and doing the opposite. So this is the left continuing to basically say anything that Trump does is bad, right? Trying to bring National Guard troops in, trying to do investigations of fraud, that's bad. It's hurting us, right? It's just crazy. So basically saying that federal agents trying to investigate fraud is actually hurting the community. You know, when they have all these Somalis they brought in, it's just pretty crazy when you think about what they're trying to tell us. I always like to refresh Trump's truths real quick to see if he said anything, and now he hasn't said anything recently. So he's just talking about the Biden administration weaponization of the justice system here, and I'm going to go to some other tweets here that Trump is looking at. I'd like to scroll through here to see if there's anything big that came up lately. And so, such a terrific victory of Matt Van Epps. We talked about that. Jordan, other lawmakers were probing DOJ conduct with the J6 prosecutors seized their phones. It's just so Trump is just basically letting everybody know what happened when we let a puppet president run our government. Finally, the TPUSA is fighting back. They have a whole 7-minute segment here talking about and addressing Candace Owens' attacks on TPUSA and almost everybody else that had anything to do with Charlie. So they invited Candace to come in as they're going to address every single claim that she made, to actually have her in studio. That is going to be interesting. I would imagine she would accept that challenge. It'll be interesting. President Trump posted this, and this is all about Ilhan Omar and all her legal stuff, and some legal stuff coming on Ilhan Mohan. That's going to be really interesting. I'm just going to scream through a few of these things because we're out of time. This reveals the striking difference between the television funded by cereal and vacuum cleaners ads and television funded by pharmaceutical ads. So I want you to see if you can see the difference here. This is this is a minute 16, but I think it's worth watching. First part's going to be the Brady Bunch, and then it's going to move to another series. Let's listen to see if you can see the difference when it comes to Big Pharma and the medical cartel.
What are you doing home from school?
They sent me home. Measles.
It's either measles or a strange case of red freckles.
You have got a temperature.
They told me 101.1. What's the record?
Never mind.
Oh, are you sure it's the measles?
Well, he certainly got all the symptoms. A slight temperature, a lot of dots, and a great big smile.
A great big smile.
No school for a few days.
Say hello to my dotted son for me. Tell him I'll bring him some comic books and I'll see you later, dear.
Okay, honey, bye.
Boy, this is the life, isn't it? Yeah. If you have to get sick, sure can't beat the measles. That's right. No medicine.
Inside or out? Like shots, I mean.
Don't even mention shots. Yeah.
Dad says I should go to school.
7 students confirmed with measles, 4 others possible.
How? They had to have been vaccinated.
These moms never vaccinated their kids and lied about it. Vaccines are harmful.
You are endangering the health of every child in this city.
Blue. No, it's turning blue.
Call 911.
All new SVU next Wednesday at 9/8 Central here on NBC.
Leave that, guys. This is big. We got to get Big Pharma to not be able to advertise any longer, right? But you can see they're influencing the movies. They're influencing the TV shows completely. Where Brady Bunch is talking about the measles, which many of us already had measles, right? And it's not anywhere near the danger of the thing that you put in your arm that I can't say on YouTube, right? So it's really scary what they're doing, and is the fact that they are now made it to 911 if you have the measles, 911 if you have the measles, and these vicious people who don't vaccinate their kids. This is the difference between a medical cartel that controls almost every part of media. That's why we started Faith and Freedom TV and have the Biohackingville channel, right? That's an important thing to understand, to counteract all this Big Pharma stuff. We have the Biohackingville TV 7x24 channel. You can also see it right here, where we get all kinds of the narco war clash, and some of the top doctors, such as Dr. Daniel Pampo, and many others that are fighting, Dr. Artist, Dr. Ely, Dr. Smith, Dr. Northrup, all people that have been Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, all on this channel of Biohackingville TV. So again, you're only going to find that on Faith and Freedom TV. Again, it's a great web app, faithandfreedom.tv, faith with the N in the middle, with the Nancy, .tv, as well as you can put it on your TV and your phone. And that's one thing I noticed. All these people were not being amplified. Now they're on Roku and Fire TV and Apple TV and Android TV. So if you get it on your TV platform, make sure you get it there. And then you can go to faithandfreedom.tv, bookmark that, and watch it on any of your URLs, as well as have it on your phone, your Android or mobile phone. All right, guys. With that, we're going to move over to, I wanted to show you this last thing. Look at this. Just in case you're wondering how bad it is, here's the same guy. He worked at the FDA and he worked at Pfizer. Here's the same person, worked at the FDI and Moderna. Look at this here. This guy worked at Reuters and Pfizer. Mockingbird, right? Who's that guy? Oh, that's Fauci. He worked as the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the NIH. See how bad this is? It's completely compromised, guys. It's called captured regulators. When you've captured the regulators that are supposed to be regulating you, then it becomes a profit machine of lies. And that's what we have with the FDA. It's with the NAIA. It's what we have with the World Health Organization and all these pharmacies that the FDA is not really doing anything with them. They're basically part of the whole machine of the medical cartel. Hey, with that, we're going to be seeing you guys tomorrow where we have SG Anon on, so don't miss that. SG Anon is going to be on. And then, again, we are going moving into a Bible study as well as what we call word and worship, because we had a worship and then in between we teach it. Again, you're going to find that link to join that in down below in this video. But it's the Word and Worship channel on Rumble or the Word and Worship on Faith and Freedom TV. See you over there shortly. God bless you. We'll talk to y'all soon. Test the spirits and
Christian soldiers, we are in this together. We are blessed to teach. We are neighbors, we believe. We are blessed to be free, to love our God and country.
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.